Inside the Fox 59 CBS 4 podcast studio, welcome to the Colts Blue Zone Podcast. We are 2 weeks away from the regular season kicking off here in the NFL. The Indianapolis Colts, one more preseason game this weekend against the Detroit Lions inside Lucas Oil Stadium before the games start to count for real against the Ravens on September 13th. Joining me here in studio, Mike Chappell, Matt Adams, ready to kick off another show here, guys. And we have breaking news to start off this show, broken by our very own Mike Chappell sitting across from me here in the studio. Mike, tell the people about Alec Pierce and what the Colts' plans are for him right now as we are approaching the regular season.
He either has been or will be activated or moved off of PUP, which we've all expected because the alternative was not good.
It's terrible.
So, no, and so will he be at practice today? I don't know. That'll take place after our podcast.
And probably before people listen to this. So
right.
Check him out at mchappell.
So again, the fact
Twitter,
that he, I know they put him through a workout, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, to really test the left ankle heel that he had surgery on in March. And it's just huge news. Now the question is going to be is how quickly will he be ready to play, really play. We talked to Reggie Wayne yesterday, and he said, boy, with players who've been out for a while, you're always worried about you got to get into shape, and then you have to get into game shape. Mm-hmm. And it's different. And then you worry about if you come back too quick, the soft tissue injuries, the hammies and the groin. So they'll make sure he's ready, but he'll be ready in some form or fashion for September 13th. And any Alec Pierce is better than no Alec Pierce.
Right. He will certainly play a role, assuming there are no setbacks, of course, between now and then. And we all hope that that is certainly the case. But if this is just what we have now is more Alec Pierce of what we've seen in the past rather than any type of expansion in his role maybe, which is, I think, what the Colts want from him since they paid him a record-setting free agent contract. It would not surprise me in the least bit if he's at a more limited role, if you see more Ashton Doolin or Nick Westbrook-Akine out on the field.
Or and then Treadwell. Let's not eliminate him yet.
If he makes the roster, exactly. Right. But that number 13 jersey is certainly wanted by someone else in the room there. I've got to
believe when the season starts, I don't care if Treadwell's here or not, that 13 needs to go to somebody else.
There's going to be a way that it goes.
Rank has its privileges, as we all know.
Right, from one hand to another. Treadwell's been in the league for a long time, but he's not been in the league.
Who's got the chops?
Yeah, a long time, like Keenan Allen has, exactly. But Alec Pierce, so Chap, the first one to break it today. Others following suit quickly, and we might see him out there on the practice field. If nothing else, we'll see him next week for sure as the regular season gets closer, and they'll be at that point 2 weeks until the regular season opener. The Colts have to cut the roster down from 90 to 53 this weekend. Let's touch on wide receivers then for a little bit since we're sticking with Alec Pierce.
It's the most interesting position.
I think it might be. Like you have, there are locks obviously at the top with Pierce, with Josh Downs, with Keenan Allen, and then with Ashton Doolin due to his special teams role. Like those four obviously are going to make the roster. I think out of the rest of the field, the rest of them, Nick Westbrook-Akine has done the most in training camp so far. He's at least had the best plays that we've seen, I think is fair to say. And so if there's a fifth, I would kind of lean toward him. And then there are times that Chris Ballard has kept 5 receivers. There's times that he's kept 6. And 6 is not unreasonable, especially if you want one of these guys to be your kick returner or one of your kick returners. Like Doolin is certainly has that capability. If you're not impressed with any of the other guys, and maybe you want to have your second kick returner in the back, like a running back or something like that. You have a running back and Doolin back there, and then Bob's your uncle. But if it's going to be a wide receiver, another one, like it kind of comes between 3 guys at this point then for that last spot on the Colts roster. And those guys are Anthony Gould, who is kind of the incumbent in that area, who has been the kick returner in the past.
He's missed a ton of time.
He's missed a lot of time. He was on the practice field yesterday, though. Did see him out there, so he did return. I think it was a groin injury that he had.
Groin. I may have been saying hamstring. I think it was a groin.
Okay. So Anthony Gould is 1. Deion Burks, the rookie, 7th-round draft pick out of Oklahoma, is 2. And then Coleman Owen is 3, who got some praise from special teams coordinator Brian Mason when we last spoke to him. And had the longest completion, I believe, in the second preseason game just last weekend with the Falcons in town. So any of those guys have shown some chops back there. So that's what makes it an interesting idea, Chap, as to who's going to get that spot. It's a kind of a battle between an incumbent who has been solid for them in the past, so you kind of know what you expect.
Know what you've got, right?
And a guy that you just drafted and you like his potential, or another guy who's been in the system as an undrafted guy and you like his development.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Well, and one thing to keep in mind, and we talked about it some last week, is how Keenan Allen's addition sort of makes him adjust. Because until that, Ashton Doolin probably wasn't going to be as much involved on special teams. And now he can be.
Right. I think that's fair.
Order has been restored sort of as far as the spots. But I've been noticing more in practice the last few days, Laquan Treadwell being more involved than Westbrook Akine. Does that mean anything? I don't know. You're talking about a guy that's going to be your fourth or fifth receiver. So is it really going to, in the grand scheme of things? And Treadwell's been a pretty good special teams player.
Yes, he has. Good point.
So that's, and again, if it comes down to that last receiver, not last, but the fifth receiver, linebacker, DB, it's what do they give you on special teams? Because that matters. Brian Mason is one of the best special teams guys in the league, and I feel sorry for him because he gets. Well, here you go. Come Sunday at cut date, they say, okay, here's what you got.
Right.
So, but one thing that you mentioned, and I'm really curious what they do with, you give Pierce $114 million with, and everybody said we expect yes, they expect more from him. They expect him to have heavier workload.
Right.
As far as targets. What do you have? 84 targets last year. And Pittman left with 111, whatever it was. But one of the reasons they paid, yes, they paid to get more, but they also paid Pierce because he's got that unique skill set that not many guys in the league have, and that's the deep ball. And so sometimes you do pay a little bit more for that. But having said that, yes, he was going to get more, and Josh Downs was going to get more. I really want to see how they, with Keenan Allen here, I want to see how they handle Josh Downs, because they're right back where they were personnel-wise, skill set-wise, target-wise at the position. And last year they just were not able to get enough targets to Josh Downs.
Yeah.
Will that change? I would think so.
I hope so.
But, this, again, who knows? Again, they replaced one volume guy in Pittman with a volume guy, maybe a tad more volume guy than Keenan Allen. Mm-hmm. And you watched practice yesterday, and he's been here, I don't know, 2 weeks, 10 days, whatever it is. And he and Daniel Jones, it doesn't take long when you've got veteran. Mm-hmm. And when it's 3rd and 7, if you can't look for Jack Doyle, you're looking for Keenan Allen. And
Jack Doyle would be in the stands right now.
So I want to see how it plays out. At least early, I would think that Pierce will not get that 85, 90%, snap rate each game.
Right.
Just because. It doesn't make sense. But as the season plays out, we're going to see Keenan Allen. It's funny, he needs 16 catches to replace Reggie.
He might have that in week 2.
I tell you, when you have the projection chart, it's going to be sooner, not later.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the Josh Downs question continues to be an intriguing one, of course, for the wide receivers as well. He's managing a calf injury. He called it just precautionary that he's sitting out right now. I think he'd be out there.
Play. Yeah, that's the impression I got.
Yeah, but Matt, there's a reason that Josh Downs was Colts number 1 in receptions after 2 years, and that's because he's a pretty darn good player.
Yeah, he can get open, man.
Yeah, he just hasn't he doesn't have the explosiveness of obviously of an Alec Pierce, who does. No one else in the NFL, and Pittman's always been a volume guy, so he was kind of standing in the way. They added Tyler Warren, and he's a fancy tool. They wanted to get involved in the offense last year as a rookie. Downs has been nothing but consistent in his efforts and his abilities over the past 3 years. It wasn't his fault that he kind of went down in terms of production last year.
Right.
And I think if I'm Downs, I really want to be more involved in the offense because I think I can contribute more to the offense. So that's a matter for him and Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen to be look, I know that I can do more And if you're a play caller, you're like, I think you need to get him the ball, and because he's had a pretty good training camp. Like he was definitely one of the most impressive receivers against the Falcons for sure, and in their work here. So I hope that he gets more opportunity than he did last year.
But he's still your fourth option.
It's true, and that's what makes it difficult.
When I say option, I'm taking.
And you have Jonathan Taylor running the ball.
I'm talking snaps, and you got Jonathan Taylor. You got Tyler Warren, he's going to get more.
Tyler Warren.
And Alec Pierce is going to get more.
And then it's Keenan Allen and Josh Downs.
The two guys most impacted by Keenan Allen are Josh Downs and Ashton Newland.
Yeah.
Because he's thinking, hey, this is my shot.
Right. I can take some of those special teams plays off, right?
Right. And I'm going to get 40 or 50 targets. And now probably not.
Very intriguing.
It's not a problem. It's a great issue to have if you're the Colts.
Yes, it is. You'd rather have good players who are trying to fight to get opportunities than unproven players.
In that room without Keenan Allen.
Yes.
I mean, that's again with their skill set people, barring injuries. It's not the best in the league. But it's a very, very good set of skill players when you include tight end and running back and everybody.
It sounds like the opposite of the linebacker room right now, to be perfectly honest,
smokes.
which we can talk about a little bit later if we want to. But that's just it's like Lou Anaruma's kind of like, we'll see what happens.
It's like at BMV when you go to get your license. It's, number 39. Who's next?
Yeah. That's how it's been. For Downs, I think the good news for me for here with Downs is that Shane Steichen, schematically, very good coach. Right?
Yeah,
offensive
I would fully agree.
I think they will find ways to move him around and get him the ball. But then again, last year, even when Daniel Jones was healthy, it was still easy for Downs to be kind of the lost man in the offense. But the calculations do change a little bit this year with personnel, with Pittman being gone and such, and Pierce is going to get a bigger role, but he's also, I think, like you guys suggested, be a little bit reduced for the first couple of weeks just because he's kind of got to get his game legs and all that stuff. So we'll see how it all goes for Josh Downs.
And there was talk, too, about where they're going to work Downs more on the outside this year.
Right, yeah. Move him around, get him some opportunities.
Now with Allen, I don't think that's really...
I think Keaton has played somewhat in the slot in his career, too, so maybe there's an opportunity for that still.
It gives them the versatility.
Yeah, exactly.
No question.
So that's an intriguing thing to me. That's not out of the question, but I still think it's a good point. Still think it's a good point. Might not be at the same level that they had originally planned before Keenan Allen got in here. But let's flip to the other side and talk defensive backs because Mooney Ward, just like Alec Pierce, has been a player nursing injury. Mooney, much more recent, had a back injury, but did return to practice this week for the first time after about 2 weeks. And gave us a couple details about that injury, saying that he's going to have to manage this throughout the season. This is not something that you just sit for 2 weeks.
And we're in August, and we're talking about managing an injury.
Yeah.
Which should make you nervous.
It does a bit.
Yes.
Yep, sure.
It's not like a 5-alarm fire at this point, I don't think. But
DEFCON 3, I don't know, where would you put it? It's not, I'm sorry to be grammatically incorrect, it's not nothing.
Right, it's not nothing. But like DEFCON 5 is peacetime, and DEFCON 1 is war, all-out war.
We're done.
So it's somewhere between 3 and 4, for sure, right now. It's not nothing.
DEFCON 2.5.
I would go...
You'd go higher?
Well, lower, however it is.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Lower.
I'm a solid 3.
All right. But and maybe that's because of just the expectations that his role is going to be in the defense, how important he needs to be.
How it changes things.
Yeah, completely.
You go from having, again, I think one of the best secondaries in the league, 2 elite corners, safeties you really like. You like Justin Wally, and if and when he's out for a game or 2 or whatever, it changes the dynamics of everything you do.
I think one of the encouraging things is Cam Taylor-Britt has been fairly good in the preseason. I think that he has been as impressive a fourth cornerback as we have seen here in Indianapolis.
He can go inside, outside.
Yes, he can.
Right.
He's had more experience at both in the nickel and on the outside. But the bad thing about that is
there's always a but.
There's always something. Is he's not going to be available in week 1.
Week 1's a big question mark on that
because
one,
he's suspended.
Well, not a big question mark because he ain't playing.
Yeah.
No, I just mean with Ward. His health.
And we're going to see how they're going to adapt when guys are out. Now, this is different from having Mooney Ward out when you have Britt out, but that means somebody else gets not nudged up a level.
I tell you who that's not going to be is Mekhi Blackman, as the Colts released the young corner from their team after he started 11 games last year in Horseshoe Blue.
So they'd acquired him in a trade, by the way, a 6th-round pick.
Right. And he was serviceable last year.
I would agree.
More than that. Like, I think he was just fine in his role. But there's no doubt that he had been struggling in this preseason.
Yes, that's one where you almost cut yourself by how you play.
If you watched those games, if you're in Central Indiana on Fox 59 against the Patriots, on CBS 4 against the Falcons, Blackman was targeted quite often. Yep. And when you're targeted quite often by the number 2s,
they do it for a reason.
They do it for a reason. And he just was letting a lot of completions and yardage get by him.
Yeah, getting beaten right off the line, man.
Exactly.
Almost every time.
Exactly.
It felt like.
So it was a problem that we all talked. Like, if you have a problem with your 5th cornerback, like, you have much worse problems to have.
Right.
But when so blatantly, obviously an issue, it kind of bubbles to the surface, which it has in this.
That's a position you don't want somebody to be constantly targeted.
Matt also points out here on our rundown that there were 4 pass interference penalties
in the preseason, the 2 preseason games. Man.
Those yards count just as much.
Exactly.
Almost, it seems like almost more. They hurt more than a reception.
So Blackman no longer with the Colts. They'll turn elsewhere for the next cornerback down the line. Whether that's going to be a Jonathan Edwards getting more run. They signed Kenneth Harris, a free agent, to fill the spot at cornerback.
Who they had just seen, by the way, in the joint practices with the Patriots.
Indeed. So, but the Patriots didn't think he was good enough, I guess, to keep on the roster and let him go. So
moves made right now. This was position for position. So I almost look at it like, okay, we got a game coming up Saturday.
Yeah.
We need a snap eater type of thing.
Here's what I think. With the roster cuts down from 90 to 53 this weekend, there's always moves after that, Like, when everybody cuts all these players, some people have more of a surplus down the line at corner, at defensive tackle.
Right.
I think the Colts have some defensive tackles that are going to get cut that other teams are going to sign. That's the one spot that comes to mind right now. But that's a spot that you look at next Monday or Tuesday after roster cuts on Sunday that say, a corner could be coming here to Indianapolis, much like a young man named Kenny Moore II was that one time a couple years ago.
There's always an example. I'm sure every team has one of those.
Oh, yeah, completely.
Well,
Jack Doyle.
Jack Doyle.
Another perfect one.
Some teams have more than one.
Mm-hmm.
And I always warn you, I still think the cruelest day of the year is Monday or Sunday night. You make the roster, you're
call mom.
You're the mom. Hey, mom, I made it. Mm-hmm. We made it. We've reached our dream. And then you get a call the next morning or that night saying, yeah, we found somebody better on waivers. They won't tell you that, but that's what it is. There'll be 2 or 3 of those guys. Because when they make the roster cut by 6 o'clock on Sunday, there will probably be 2 or 3, 2 guys anyway, on the regular season roster that aren't here yet, that won't be here.
Yeah. So that's a possibility for the Colts at cornerback. If you look further back in the secondary, Cam Bynum spoke to the media this week, and I thought he was very descriptive about what his role with the green dot is going to be, and really outlined the differences of having it and what he needs to do better.
Right.
Excuse me. When he's given that role. And of course, if you're unfamiliar by now, I don't know if you've been paying attention for the past 4 months for Colts defensive analysis, whether it's here or elsewhere. If you haven't been reading Mike Chappell's work online, Fox 59, CBS4Indy.com. But Cam Bynum has been wearing the green dot. For months, it was speculated C.J. Allen would get that role. But at this point, with Allen being injured, not being in the lineup so much, and the Colts decide to do more of a rotation at linebacker, the better idea is to give the green dot to some one person consistently who's going to be on the field all the time, and that's going to be, for the most part, free safety Cam Bynum. So I found it intriguing. He's going to have to be at even a better level of fitness.
Right,
because he has the green dot. And can you explain that, Chap, to the people?
Well, yeah, because again, he will be the one in communication with Lou Anarumo. And, normally, what's funny is a couple of players said, well, he's always talking anyway.
Yeah.
Well, now he's got to be more focused on what he's communicating.
Right.
But as soon as the play's over, you can't dust yourself off and kind of recoup and what did I do wrong there? No, you've got Lou in your ear already. And you've got to be able to, in 20 20 seconds, 25 seconds.
You get 15 seconds, I think is what I heard.
Well, it gets shut off at
he gets shut off
seconds to go.
15, right.
Yes.
So, you've got to know, and he said that, there are times that you simply can't hear every word.
Yep.
So there are buzzwords, is that what he called them?
Yes, buzzwords was
to where you can actually make the call. There will be times when he'll call something and he'll say, "What was that?" Well, I guess I misunderstood or whatever. But it's not a little thing. Because, again, most players, 10 players on defense, can take a second to sort of catch their breath and get prepared for the next snap in 20 seconds. Well, he can't. Mm-hmm. So I think, and of all the guys out there, if it's not the middle linebacker, aren't you thinking Cam Bynum?
Yeah,
And the fact that it's the safety, he's up around the line of scrimmage anyway. He's not dawdling back a little bit, so it makes sense. But again, he got really in the weeds, which a lot of times players don't. Mm-hmm. This wasn't giving away state secrets, so it was really interesting how he broke down all that goes into it.
Yeah, I found it interesting thinking about like just the difficulty of going through plays in the NFL and the physicality of that for an entire 60-minute game, and like having to listen and bark out signals in between. Like if you work out, like if you go to a gym or you do it at home, like you can focus in between reps or in between sets of just.
And he can't.
No, you can't do it. Like you need to use that breath that you're trying to use to recover to explain everything to everyone else. And it seems like other players are saying, well, he's doing that anyway. He talks all the time anyway.
It's different.
It is. Like it seems different to me. Like the next time, folks at home, you go through a workout, like try like barking out loudly. Don't do this if you're in the gym because people will think you're a little crazy. Maybe at home. Like barking out a long play call and explaining different aspects of something, and then start your next set. You're not going to be as ready for that as you are.
You're talking maybe 60 times a game you have to do that.
Right. And you have 11 high-peaked athletes trying to impose their will upon you at the same time. So it's a difficult job, but someone does it for every team. I'm not this is not like one a Colts specific issue. It's just I found the discussion really fascinating, and I think Cam was very good. He's always a really good communicator with us, so it would make sense that he would be a good communicator. I think on the field, Chap.
Again, he's just going to change instead of just yapping about, hey, this is a pretty good play, Mooney, and all this. No, it's going to be. Okay, he'll have Lou in his ear talking, and then you've got to get that done before the 15-second mark, or it gets shut off. Can you imagine trying to digest it? Yeah. And then silence?
Right, yeah. And then sometimes he might play a little closer to the line of scrimmage, and sometimes he may have deep cover responsibilities. Yeah, so he's going to have to
sprint 30 yards up,
and then sprint up there, get the call, and that's why a lot of times it falls on the middle linebackers because they're going to be in the middle.
They're
of the
right
field.
in the middle of the field, right?
But he's going to have to get back and get to his coverage responsibilities.
What if he had deep coverage on somebody on a deep post? Mm-hmm. Well, then as he's jogging back to the line, he's got the DC in his ear.
Yeah, maybe there are some ways where if that's the case, like Lou can grab if what's his name? If Sauce Gardner is on his boundary, like you grab him as he's next to you and you give him the play call right there. Right. And so that he could have it as well. Like there are ways.
There are ways, right?
These are smart guys.
Exactly.
We don't want to overcomplicate it, but it is.
But it is complicated.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it can't be complicated during a game.
Yeah. The Colts' second preseason game against the Falcons was not a very impressive one. They lost 34-6. No starters played, so we can take some solace in that fact.
No starters played, right? None.
Yeah, zero. It wasn't even like they had Jalen Travis against the Patriots.
Yeah, and they only had 6 offensive linemen.
Maybe one starter would be C.J. Allen. I'll throw that out there. Maybe. We'll see if he's the one. Halsey, no, I don't think he did.
He's dealing with something.
Yeah, but Justin Wally didn't play. Justin Wally has still played 0 NFL snaps in a game.
And I don't play him Saturday.
Yeah, which I don't know if you do.
They've ruled out 2 guys. They ruled out Jones and JT.
Right.
And I'm telling you, there'll be 10 starters that won't play.
Warren's not going to be there.
Right.
I doubt Downs will be there.
Yeah, with his
maybe
says
not.
He won't. Mooney says he doesn't want to play.
I don't think Ward might be out there.
It was a little funny that he said that.
But I wouldn't play Bernard Ryman.
Yeah, no.
But if that's the case, then do you start any of your offensive linemen?
Exactly. Then who's starting? Who cares?
And then the argument is, and I'm normally a guy that wants to see the guys out there a little bit, whatever a little bit means. But let's say they play. What did Steichen say? 8 to 10 plays, 2 series.
Yeah,
depending how the series goes.
Probably a couple series.
What's the impact of that? Other than saying you played and you got
Take
smacked
a hit,
around,
and
then you're not going to play for 2 weeks. So what does it mean? But and I do believe that these coaches get together and they say, "Listen, this is what I'm going to do in the game. What are you going to do, and what are you comfortable with?" There's no way Detroit's going to play their starters for a half. When Shane's playing his for like a series or two.
Right. But for this game, like I've been on our shows here on Fox 59, CBS 4 talking about this Falcons game, and everyone's like, oh, is there something to be concerned about? Well, like not crazy. Like if you were out at Colts camp the last week and you saw the starters actually play, you know that they were better than the Falcons. They just had a better couple days, and that shouldn't be surprised because all the media who came from Atlanta told us that they expect the Falcons to be very bad at football this year. So them and the Miami Dolphins are in a bit of a race to the bottom right now, it seems like to me. But anyway, you look at what the reserves did, and for these bad NFL teams, sometimes the reserves are actually better than other teams' reserves because there's a little bit more competition at the top because you don't know who you're starting because you don't have anybody who's all that good. With the Colts, like not that's a good thing for the Colts because you want better depth, but at the same time, like that's what I've seen in the past, at least from some teams out there, and that could be the case in this instance. You look at what the Colts had in their reserves, and it wasn't all that impressive. The scheme, they do basically no scheming for these preseason games, and like I think that would be, you would hope a strength of the Colts with Shane Steichen in particular on offense that we've talked about is his scheming. Lou Anarumo on defense as well. But just 1 of 11 on third downs was bad. It wasn't very impressive from either quarterback in this game. Like at least Anthony Richardson had some moments. You got in the red zone with
6 minutes to play.
Yeah, finally at long last. Like Anthony finally got them down there to the red zone on one of his drives.
I think what the game showed, it reinforced our concerns over the depth. Everybody has depth.
Yes.
But legitimate, reliable depth. And you came away thinking, offensive line, man, what have they got? Defensive line, maybe. Linebackers, it's hard to tell because they've been rotating guys in and out. And I thought it sort of exposed the bottom end of the corner depth. So I was concerned primarily because I like, for the most part, the 22 starters. I really do. But, boy, you can take 3 or 4 spots, even take quarterback out, 3 or 4 spots, and if that guy gets hurt, I think it really takes a toll.
Yeah. The one incredible positive from this game was Spencer Schrader. And this kid, when the lights are on.
They're going to keep him. Unless he goes out there and duck hooks a couple, he's going to make this roster.
It sure seems like that right now because, like, Blake Grupe has been truly exceptional in training camp. But Spencer Schrader in the preseason games has been lights out.
4
61 yards. 53 yards. 48 yards. And then there was another one that he made as well, I think, against the
46, 48. Well, the
46?
ones against New England was 46
and 61.
Right.
And then it was 53 and 48. Right. So these are not chip shot field goals.
It's not like a 36-yarder that Grupe missed.
Grupe goes,
you just can't. And again, you say, well, you're holding that one kick against him. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what
you
know
do. Why? Because it was in a game like that. And Brian Mason told us, the game kicks count more.
Like he said that, and then he sort of said, yeah, but games matter.
Yes.
It just does.
And he also made a point, like talking about this kicker battle between Schrader and Grupe, that you have to evaluate their progression. You have to evaluate how they were at the start.
Whose arrow is trending.
And you know what that means is you have to evaluate a progression back from injury. And Spencer Schrader, they knew he was not going to be as good in May as he was in June and July and August. And if the anticipation is that improvement stays to where he was, then like I think Mason at that point was kind of setting the stage for a reason to keep Spencer Schrader. Does that mean they necessarily will? If he has a bad final preseason game and Grupe comes out and blasts one from 55, then no.
It would be hard to rationalize if that's the case.
Right. But if we continue to see what we have seen, if Schrader stays perfect in the preseason, boy, I think they want to keep Spencer Schrader, and Grupe is more here as like a backup option that they really like as a backup option.
And they won't have that option after Sunday.
No, they won't. Like they're going to only keep one. They're not keeping two.
And
That's not how it works.
And you won't bring one back for the practice squad because somebody will get whoever you let go of.
Exactly, because both of these guys are NFL kickers.
Right.
And so that's it seems to me like the leg up, which I've said in the past, which I still think is not that funny, but I keep saying it anyway.
Yeah, one of them's going to get the boot anyway. Right?
There it is. Perfect. I like that one better.
I'm not going there for you guys.
Thank you, Chad.
But I tell you, we were watching practice yesterday, and I think Groupie was 5 for 5 or 6 for 6, whatever, and Schrader missed one. And from our angle, it's really hard to tell where they're kicking from. But the ball explodes off of Schrader's leg. It just does. It's going halfway up the net, and again, they're going. It's kind of like golf handicapping when a guy's got a 2 handicap. Well, Schrader came in with a handicap that he's working through, and most of his misses in training camp were those wide lefts, and I think that had to do with some kind of mechanical issue from the injury.
Yeah,
compensating. So I will be very surprised if it's not Spencer Schrader.
Yep, and I think something needs to happen in this final preseason game for it to not be Spencer Schrader. Something bad.
I don't think Groupie can win it.
No,
and it would take bad.
Yeah,
for Schrader to not make it.
Right. So, and I think I've said in the past that I love Spencer Schrader. Like he's been like every time we've talked to him, he's great. Not that Blake Groupie has been bad by any stretch, but Spencer's been an easy guy for me to root for as a guy who grew up in Westfield for some time before moving, and then like has some love for this place and always has had a smile on his face. Like even last year after he gets injured, was kind of hanging around from time to time in the locker room. So and it should be an easy guy for Colts fans to root for. Again, not that Groupie is not at all what I'm saying, but it would be great to have Schrader back in the locker room, I think, again, and see if he can keep adding to what was last year a AFC Special Teams Player of the Month in the very first month of the last season, when he was, I believe, the leading fantasy kicker. In fact, after that month, exactly one or two in the league.
And one thing that Brian Mason mentioned, and this is something that could happen, is he said when we make the decision, whoever it is, he is our guy. He's not going to be on necessarily a short leash. Now, that's if you haven't missed 3 or 4, then that changes.
Any kicker in the league would be like that, yes.
Unless you're Adam Vinatieri.
Yeah.
But bring back bad memories. But the idea is that he will be our guy. If he misses one, he's still our guy. Yeah. So it's important, and it's so important at that position because it's the most tenuous position on the team. You get so few attempts, and you can't. It's like baseball. You can get in the Hall of Fame batting .290. Yeah. Well, you can't do that as a kicker.
No. You can succeed 4 times out of 10 and be the best hitter of all time.
Right.
And you succeed 4 times out of 10 in the NFL, and you're going to be on your couch immediately. It can be not fair.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, it's just interesting how it's kind of turned because, you asked us probably 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Groupie was kind of the clear favorite, but once we've gotten into the games, Groupie's had a couple of misses in the games now.
Now, one was a 61-yarder.
It was. It was. Schrader made a 61-yarder.
I was going to say, Schrader made his one.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So to be determined about the kicker, but it seems like it's getting a little bit more clear in that aspect. Let's discuss C.J. Allen, perhaps the one starter who did play in that second game against the Falcons briefly before we move on. I don't know if there's too much more for us to add. Would you say the Colts are, like, disappointed might be a strong word, but unsatisfied with what they've seen from Allen so far, and that's why they are saying, like, hey, this is going to be a full rotation, or maybe this was just a part of the plan all along. I don't think that I would quite go to that aspect. I think
this is not part of the plan.
No, they wanted him to do more than what they're going to have him do.
This is injury related.
Yeah,
he misses the first 2 days of camp with a calf injury,
and then 2 weeks with the hamstring.
With the hamstring, and that's what he's just behind. He just is, and I think when a player is injured, especially a rookie, you're hesitant. And if you hesitate a half a second on the football field, the play's over and behind you. So I think that's where he's at now. And, because this was a guy from the day they drafted him, green dot guy.
Yep, he's going to be the captain. He's going to be our centerpiece of our offense.
Even during OTAs and all that. This is totally injury related, and he's not ready yet. And, again, if a rookie hesitates at all, you're done. So I think at some point he will be your starter. because he's got the most upside and all that, but you can't put him out there till he's ready.
Yeah, and I think people were pointing out, and I've seen some Colts writers point out his play on the Tyler Goodson touchdown run, the big 49-yarder, that he kind of got caught up there by got held up by a block. So and they're not wrong in that sense that he was kind of standing back and shuffling to the side, didn't get to the hole, got blocked. I would hesitate to put like a ton of say, oh, it was his complete fault on that, because I don't know the scheme of that play.
Right.
And but there was a noticeable aspect that he didn't attack the hole when it came up. He was just didn't
really
make
sure
it
what
there.
He's doing.
Exactly. He might not be sure what he saw. And then certainly did get held up on the block. It could be a really good block and then you tip your cap to the Falcons. Like I would need to go into the film study sessions and like the linebacker room, see what Coach Betcher would have to say.
Tip your head to the Falcons and back up offensive linemen.
Exactly. So, but still, like you want your second round pick, who you want to be your starting linebacker to make the play in that sense for sure. Like you can say that for sure. But like it could have been a blown thing on the defensive line as well. Somebody like made that. So everyone is right to point out that like he got blocked on that play and Tyler Goodson ran right past him for a touchdown. But I think it just needed to get a little bit more explanation to say you don't know exactly how much at fault, because there's 11 players on the field. It seems like there's always more than one person at fault unless A.D. Mitchell drops the ball at the 1 yard line.
And then it's on him.
Then you know there's one person who is at fault.
My point about him being behind and maybe hesitant, you don't see that with Bryce Bector.
Exactly, and I think
there's been at least one play each game.
He plays downhill
where he sees it, he shoots a gap, and he gets the guy for a tackle for a loss.
And he goes for it, man.
Right.
So there's a lot to like in him, for sure.
So again, I think I'm not worried about C.J. Allen. It's just that he's behind. He's just behind.
Let's talk backup quarterback, because Anthony Richardson is going to get the start again. And I want to ask you, Chap, if you think this is a notable decision by the Colts to start Richardson in Game 3, because Shane Steichen has said the starters are playing. Now, we already have speculated that might not be fully the case for this week, and depends on who is in and who's out. But if Richardson is scheduled to start in Game 3 with the quote-unquote starters, and Riley Leonard is supposed to come in the second quarter when the quote-unquote starters are done for the day, it might not be a crowning of the backup quarterback job, but it seems at least like an arrow pointing that way to me. What do you think?
I think in this case, I believe Steichen where that's how the rotation fell. And it is. I mean, whether you want to believe it or not, it's how, because Leonard starts the last game. So this game, it's Richardson. And they've gone out of their way not to address who the backup is. And I've got to believe August, what is this, 28th?
We're on the 27th.
27th right now.
The days go crazy.
They do.
Don't they know who the backup quarterback is?
I would sincerely hope so.
I think they should know. I think this is a rotational thing. I really do. And I've said from the start, I'll die on the hill that I would have let him go after there was no trade, just because of all the other stuff. But he is your best option at number 2. He is. Mm-hmm. He will make plays when there's nothing there. We've seen some flashes of that.
Yep.
With getting out of sacks, and I've always said, and you watch practices, he throws such a pretty pass.
Oh, the deep ball is just gorgeous.
You just don't know where the darn thing's going.
Yep.
And that's him. That's his. This is who he is. But I think he's still got the capabilities of winning games. Mm-hmm. That I don't think Riley Leonard has.
Yep. Riley Leonard definitely holds on to the ball still too long for the most part. The Colts drafted him in the 6th round.
That's not trusting what you see.
Yeah. The Colts drafted him in the 6th round to be a project quarterback.
Right.
And we saw it even before him with Sam Ehlinger. When you're thrown into situations you're not ready for as a backup quarterback, that can stunt your growth. Sure. It can damage your confidence. It can make you not the guy that the team wants you to be eventually. So, this is an important decision for the Colts to say, hey, is Riley ready? Or just be like, he's just not. We need to keep the other guy to be the backup at this point.
That's not a bad thing on Leonard. He's played a game and a half.
Right. That's it.
And that's it.
Yes. When you drafted him in the 6th round, you don't expect him to be, I don't think, your solid backup at this point in his career. Like, you don't want him to be that guy.
But it spoke volumes last year when they went out and got Phillip Rivers off the couch.
Very much so.
Instead of turning to a guy who's been there the entire offseason and the regular season.
Sometimes you got to be true to your plan. Right. And that point, if your first plan isn't working, like, make your second plan one that doesn't ruin your other backup plan, you know? So I've got something here for you guys. This is very exciting.
Oh, boy.
Talking backup quarterback. I'm going to give you guys both a list right here. If you're watching us on Fox 59 Sports Now, on our CTV app, fantastic. If you're just in the old podcast, you're like, what are these idiots doing right now? This is great television or a great podcast. But this that I'm giving Mike and Matt is a list of all the backup quarterbacks right now in the NFL, all 32 teams. I want to ask you guys, how many and whom of these quarterbacks do you think is a over 500 quarterback as a starter in the NFL?
I don't know what the answer is. Is there only one guy?
There's not. Oh, no, there's more than one. There's definitely more than one on this list, but it is not even a quarter of the 32 teams in the NFL, which would have a winning quarterback as a starter in the league. Gardner Minshew, no, he had that 1 year in Jacksonville where he was like 1-15.
Where they the one that they won.
Yeah, exactly. It can be bad.
Stick around long enough, you're going to have a 3-13.
That one win though.
I know.
It was week 1 against Phillip Rivers in the Indianapolis Colts in Jacksonville. Lost everybody. Exactly. So I don't even think Rivers started every game.
But what this list shows you, too, is how much better of an option Richardson probably is.
Exactly my point. That is, like, Chap got to my point but without answering my question. Darn it, Chap. But like that's the whole point of this list, to say, like, if Anthony Richardson is your backup quarterback, you can do so much worse in the NFL. And if you are the Indianapolis Colts and you are a 500 team the last 3 years under Shane Steichen, actually Shane Steichen is one game under 500 in his career. Mac Jones is not one of them, believe it or not. He had a Pro Bowl year. No, it's okay.
I don't want to break your train of thought.
No, it's fine. But if you are 1 or 2 games perhaps away from a playoff berth these years, and Daniel Jones has been injured and missed time in 6 of his 7 NFL seasons, you need a reliable backup quarterback who can win games. And Anthony Richardson, to get to the long point, is one of the quarterbacks who has a above 500 winning percentage as a starter in the NFL.
Above 500.
Yes, exactly. He is above 500. So I do want to go back to the list still and make this great television here on our podcast to see which guys, as you look at this list, are over 500 as a starter. You mentioned Mac Jones. He's not there. He had the Pro Bowl year with the Patriots, but after that really struggled, which is why he left. He went to Jacksonville for a time. Not so great. Exactly. You go to Jacksonville and it's not going to happen for you, right? But look at this list. Anybody else that you think is a over 500?
What about Flacco?
Flacco is definitely one of them.
Because he was such a long, good starter for such a long time.
Matt picks out the most obvious backup who is over 500. Good job, Matt. Well done. Clap. There we go. So we got 1, and then we got Richardson is 2 right there. How many others do you think, or who else do you think could be over 500?
Jameis Winston probably had 2.
No, it's not Jameis. Like in those years with Tampa, it's not good. Are you sure about that?
No, I'm not.
Exactly.
Is he one?
Andy Dalton is. He had a couple really good years, of course, with
who would you rather have?
And then he had other years that were around 500.
You want Dalton or Richardson?
Do you want Dalton or Richardson? I think that's a good question. I think you might want Richardson at this point, especially with Dalton at 37, 38 years old.
That's what I'm saying. And it's,
So we got 3 there. And those are probably the most obvious 2 others besides Anthony Richardson is Andy Dalton and Joe Flacco, who were starters for a very long time, coincidentally both in the AFC North. So I'll give you a hint. There are 2 more. So there are 5 total quarterbacks on this list who have a over 500 winning percentage.
Totally guessing.
Yeah. After this, it would be a complete guess. Anybody else want to venture a guess? Do you want
Tyler Huntley?
Nope, not Tyler. He's close. He was like 1 or 2 games below.
I knew that he had some 500 seasons and had a couple wins here and there.
Yep.
Davis Mills.
Not Davis Mills. Like, he was 3-0 last year.
Right.
But he had 1 year where he was a consistent starter for the Texans and went like 3-10 or something like that. So that really put him behind the list. So I got 2 more here. Anybody want to venture more guesses at this list of 32? You want me to tell you the answer?
I'm tapped out.
Okay, everybody's done. The other 2 players on this list. Number 1 is J.J. McCarthy of the Minnesota Vikings. He was 6-4.
There's talk of them cutting him
Exactly.
Sunday.
But he was 6-4, and the reason they want to cut him is he took over a 14-3 team.
Right.
And they're like, 6-4 isn't going to cut it here right now. Like, get you out of here.
We've got too good of a roster in order for this to be
some of those
wins,
he had like a good quarter. And he was awful the other and 3/4.
Yeah, the last one is a former number 2 overall pick or number 3 overall pick up there in the draft. Not Mariota, no. But it's another guy who was taken pretty darn high. He was the first quarterback taken, I believe, in his draft. Maybe the second quarterback taken in his draft. Not Pickett. No, not that high. But he was a Chicago Bear. Led the Bears to the playoffs. Mitch Trubisky.
It is Trubisky.
Had a couple of decent years with the Bears before.
And then he hasn't played much.
Before, yes, things have kind of soured for him. So Mitchell Trubisky with the Tennessee Titans is the last one. So again, those 5, Joe Flacco, Andy Dalton, J.J. McCarthy, Mitch Trubisky,
I would take Richardson
Anthony
over
Richardson.
Most of these guys.
I think that is, you got to the point, exactly, that I was trying to make. And so the other point is, if the Colts, Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard and all the other decision makers in this decide to go with Riley Leonard, that is a massive roll of the dice to say that Riley is your backup. And Anthony Richardson, who has numbers that stack up with some of the best backup quarterbacks in the league, that would be quite the roll of the dice to say that we're going with
at least from a record standpoint.
Yes, exactly. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But one thing we've also talked about, and they've sort of deflected the talk because I understand that, is will they have packages, short yardage packages for Richardson? We have not seen that in training camp or back here, which they wouldn't show us that. Once they close practices, the main part of practices next week, that's when you put in these plays. And if that's part of what you want to do, then he's got to be your number 2. Because your third quarterback is your emergency quarterback, and he only plays when the other 2 guys can't.
Yeah.
So it all points to Richardson, and it all should point to Richardson. And there's nothing he can do to be back next year because you can't afford it. You won't be able to afford giving him $40 million because he came off the bench when Jones got hurt and he takes you to the playoffs.
Right.
You can't afford him.
Even if what would happen if Jones gets injured week 3 and Anthony comes in and leads them to the playoffs?
Again, you got Jones for $40-some million next year.
Yep, exactly. That's the thing. That is the hook right there.
And you got other now. It may that's hey, if that works. And again, I was talking with somebody. It would be so much easier if AR was a cancer in the locker room, if he's disruptive, and he's not.
Nope, not at all.
He's still a young guy who wasn't ready for the NFL when he got here. They didn't help him enough with that. He's got it's what the NFL is always about is you don't want to let go of great potential too soon.
No.
But at some point you have to move on, and they're not ready to do that with Richardson.
So I'm glad you guys went along with my little gag there.
I like that. I think it
once you look at everyone else, you realize, oh, you know what? You could be a lot worse.
You could be a lot worse is kind of the overview takeaway.
Now, if you'd have done this different and you put Leonard in here, it's different. There are some guys, a lot of guys on this list I would take over Riley Leonard.
Right.
There would be.
And there are guys that I think he would very much compare to who are on this list too.
Good
that
point.
You're like, nah, but there's so much better that you can do. It's very rare to have a winning backup quarterback in the NFL. They're backups for a reason.
That's why they're
what
there.
It comes down to exactly.
Well, Marcus Mariota, wasn't he a top 8 pick? How high was he?
He was second, I believe, or third overall, like right behind Jameis Winston that year.
He is a journeyman backup.
Yep. Very much so. We always say that we saw the worst of Marcus Mariota here with the Colts.
Best of Blake Bortles.
And the best of Blake Bortles.
Blake
It was
Bortles,
just
indeed.
a Jaguars curse with him. But anyway, the Colts unveiled this week their Anvil Strike uniforms for rivalry uniforms.
What's that do to you guys?
Let's go. It's great for the PR staff of the Indianapolis Colts. It is entirely. Yes, marketing more so than PR.
Have a 12-year-old who's a big Colts fan. Daddy, I need this new jersey. Well, you got 3 already.
Right. I do like them.
I like them.
You know, I'll get to my favorite in a bit. We'll focus on this for a second first. The Colts will have them against the Texans week 3. The Jaguars are going to wear theirs against the Colts.
Why wouldn't you, right?
Exactly. You might as well.
Guaranteed win right there.
And some people have ripped on the Jaguars ones, but they're going to look pretty good, I think, if history tells us anything, against the Indianapolis Colts there. And the Texans are going to wear theirs in Week 11 against the Colts.
So they'll see Colts fans will see 3 of the 4 AFC South uniforms this year.
Yeah, I do like the Colts uniforms. Like I think the blue helmets are nice. I heard somewhere that the Colts have never had the horseshoe on their actual jersey before.
Well, what about the throwbacks? I know.
I know they had two on the back of their helmet.
They had two horseshoes in the back of the helmet. Yeah, you probably because the Colts were always the team that we're going to have different uniforms, and you look at it and not a lot of difference.
Yeah, somebody told me that. I don't know if it's completely true.
I think that was in their PR points on this. Okay. That it was the first time they'd had the horseshoe on the jersey. Although, if I recall, didn't they have one of their memorial patches? I think for Robert Ursay was a horseshoe.
Okay, just a patch there, like a specific.
What was Jim's? Was it the JI inside of a horseshoe or not?
You might be right about that too, but it might have just been a circle. Yeah, I think it was just a circle with that. So anyway, that's a neat little thing about it.
But as a permanent feature of the uniform, this would be the first time.
One of my favorite things about all these reveals was the Texans reveal, actually, because they called it it was like our colors, our whatever, and it's a total shot at the team that went to the Tennessee Titans,
Houston,
and using the old Oilers logos, and they're bringing back kind of that more that Oiler looking color scheme.
Love you blue.
And I love that uniform. It is a really good. The Texans uniform is a really good one, and maybe that's just my personal preference for the clean white look.
No, I like it because it is that clean white look. Actually, I thought the AFC South uniforms in general, when they did this, the Dynasty's uniforms debuted last year, and AFC East, I think, was one of them, and I just didn't really like a lot of those uniforms. Right. I thought the AFC South was pretty well represented this year with their redesigns.
Yep. I think it's kind of funny to see with all it's quieted down now, the Baltimore Indy, angst, hatred, whatever it is. It's almost the same level with the Houston Oilers and the Titans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
hey, that's our stuff.
There's some bitterness.
That's Earl Campbell stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think as there should be if I was a Houston fan, for sure. Right. There's some reasonable qualms against that because I mean when Cleveland packed up and went to Baltimore, they left the team's history there where it was.
They had to. Yeah, it was mandated.
Yes, very, very much so. So we know about mandates here. Jack brings up that
word. I don't know why that word popped in my
It immediately brought back great memories, I think, for all of us here with that word. But anyway, a peek ahead before we wrap things up. The final preseason game is against the Detroit Lions, 1:00 Saturday. That'll be broadcast in Central Indiana on CBS4. Join us a half hour early at 12:30 p.m. Saturday for the Colts Blue Zone pregame show on CBS4. Myself, Chris Hagan, will lead you right up to kickoff. We're going to be live on the field at Lucas Oil Stadium. Who knows what we're going to have in that show? I haven't even looked yet, so I should probably get on that at some point. The NFL season is literally less than 2 weeks away. As we sit here, it's September 9th. The Patriots visiting the Seahawks, a Super Bowl rematch on that evening. Thursday, 49ers Rams from Australia, gentlemen. The NFL expanding to the land down under.
I've always wanted to go to Australia.
Me too.
That's like a bucket list for the wife and I. But gosh, isn't it like a 20-hour flight?
It's a long flight, yeah.
That's a long time to be on a plane. You need some level of comfort at that point and
also
stretching.
Are we getting pushed on time?
No, we have maybe 2-3 minutes.
What I thought was really interesting is how Roger Goodell came out and said, he fully expects there to be a team overseas.
Yeah.
Who? I mean, are we talking expansion or are we talking Jacksonville, which is pouring money into a new stadium? Why not just have 16 games a year overseas?
Yep.
One
for all 32 teams.
You'd get maybe the best game each week. And so, and he's talked about a Super Bowl overseas. Let's not do that. But when the commissioner talks like he is about a team overseas, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
somehow,
exactly.
Some way.
Like when you talk about Super Bowl overseas, London's the obvious option, but then are you going to do it at 12 noon in London?
Oh, the time, right.
That would be really weird, I think, for the people who were there.
And 8 o'clock local time, Eastern time is what, 1 in the morning?
Exactly, yeah. So it'd have to be like a midday Super Bowl wherever you are. It would just be weird.
And then it messes up with the West Coast is even earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So,
but I tell you, these guys are all about expanding, revenue streams.
No doubt.
And they do it, and when they talk about it, It's going to happen.
Yep, you can guarantee it. Like you can stamp it that once it's floated, like that, it's on the path toward that outcome. So, plenty more Colts content to come over the next 2 weeks before we do kick off the regular season, September 13th inside Lucas Oil Stadium against the Baltimore Ravens. Next week we'll certainly focus a lot on roster cuts, going down from 90 to 53. We'll talk about this final preseason game with the Lions and anything that crops up before then, which I'm sure there will be 27 things that wind up on the rundown because
we have no idea because there's always something.
That's just the way things happen here with the Indianapolis Colts. So we appreciate you listening to the Colts Blue Zone podcast. If you're watching us on Fox 59 now, thank you there. YouTube as well. Subscribe, get us delivered to your podcast listening device as soon as we drop every week. For Mike Chappell, Matt Adams, I'm Dave Griffiths. We'll see you next time.